Okay, in this video here, Hermson's going to teach you about the Pythagorean theorem. Now what we have is a triangle, and this angle in here means 90 degrees, okay? That means 90. In any triangle that has a 90-degree angle, the sides form an equation. It's called the Pythagorean theorem. The theorem means it's a rule that can be used every single time there's a 90-degree angle in a triangle. And that theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now, you probably heard of that. Now, what you're doing on all these problems is find the unknown length of a right triangle. There's always going to be that one side that you don't know how long it is that you need to figure it out. And you're going to use the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so what you're going to do is draw just a right triangle. You just put a little square in there. And this side's always by C, the side going downwards. It's called the hypotenuse, the longest side. And this is A, and this is B. Okay, now we know that A is 3, so just scribble out your A and put 3. You know C is 5, scribble out your C and put 5. That means we got to figure out how long B is. So I go A to the second plus B to the second equals C to the second. Okay, so, oh, by the way, so A, slash it out, but don't scribble it out, okay? A was 3, so 3 to the second. B I don't know, so if I don't know it, I'm going to put X because that's the variable I'm used to solving for, but you got to put your second power there. C is 5, that's 5 to the second. Then what we're going to do is get rid of these second powers, okay? So 3 to the second, okay, is 9. I don't know X, obviously. 5 to the second is 25. Now, get your X to the second by itself. Put a 1 dot and circle because I have X to the second, but I don't have regular X, okay? That's the only power I have. You need to minus your 9. Now you're like, aren't there 2 answers? Yeah, there are. Yeah, I'll write 2. That's fine. Okay. Minus 9. 25 minus 9 is 16. And then divide by 1. And X to the second equals 16. Okay. It's like X second equals and then X equals. Now, look in your bubble, and what number times itself is 16. That's what the second power means. It's 4, okay? So X is 4. So it could be 4 or negative 4, but up here in this box, put the positive number, 4. That's how long that side B is, okay? Next one, I draw my right triangle. A, B, C. Now B is 3, slash it out so you can tell where B was at, and then C was 7. So A to the second plus B to the second equals C to the second. Okay, so I don't know my A, so I replace the A with X. B I know is 3, so 3 to the second. And then C I know is 7 to the second. So X to the second. And 3 to the second is 9. Just hit that little key there. It's like 3 times 3. And 7 to the second is 49. Okay, now you're going to get X squared equals and then X equals. Okay, just like that. So I put a 1 in front of my X squared because there's no X, just X squared. Okay, so I subtract 9. That's 40. And then I go divide by 1, and 40 divided by 1 is 40. So X to the second equals 40. Now, 40 is not in the bubble, okay? And by the way, there's 2 answers we'll put right there. 40 is not in that bubble, so what I do is I put a square root over it. It's going to be a decimal, so I go second and then the 4th key up, double your parentheses, and put 40. 6.32. So it could be positive or it could be negatives. But up here in the box, put your positive answer, okay? It's like an x squared equals x equals equation. Okay, A is 5, B is 6. So I make my right triangle. A, B, C. So I know A is 5, C is 6, B is 6. That's a horrible looking 6, but that's what it's supposed to be. Then A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Okay, so A I have 5 to the second. B I have 6 to the second. And C I don't know, that's x to the second. So I take 5 second, that's 25. Now this is where this could get confusing. 6 to the second is 36 equals x to the second, okay? So x has two answers. And again, this is going to be an x squared equals x type of equation that I solve. I don't need to do all that factoring. So I put a 1 in front, dot it, and circle it. But here's the thing. There's no plus or minus outside that circle, okay? None. So you're like, what do I do? Well, we're going to add those together. So I take 25 plus 36, and that's 61. Equals 1 dot x to the second. Now you can divide by 1. And 61 divided by 1 is 61. So x to the second, 61. Okay, now 61's not in the bubble. Okay, so I square root 61. So I go second, 7.81. Again, you could have the positive or you could have the negative. But up here in the box, you want to put the positive, okay? Because it's kind of like a story problem. So again, you dot and circle. If there's no plus or minus, then you're going to go over here and add the numbers so you just have one single number. Then you're going to divide by 1. And after you divided, you got your x squared. And then either look in the bubble. If it ain't there, you're going to do the square root. Okay, next problems. Keep it rolling. A, B, C. So B is 5, C is 10. So you got A to the second plus B to the second equals C to the second. So A I don't have a number for, so that's x to the second. You can't forget the second power either. B is 5, so 5 to the second. And C is 10 to the second. So we have x to the second. Now we want to get rid of as many second powers as we can. Plus 25. That's 100. Okay, now I can solve for x. It has two answers in the equation. It's going to just have one answer here. Okay. And I just have x to the second, okay? I don't have any other kinds of x's where I need to set and factor it, okay? So it's an x second equals x equals problem. So we put the 1 in front, dot and circle. I see a plus, so I'm going to minus. And that's 75. So 1 dot x to the second equals 75. Then after I have divided by 1, I have my x to the second. It stays at 75. 75 does not appear in the bubble, so I find the square root on my calculator. So second, fourth key up, double it. I got 8.66. So it could be positive, it could be negative. Okay. We want to go with the positive. Okay, next one. So A, B, and C. So A is 8, B is 8, and C we don't know. So A to the second plus B to the second equals C to the second. Okay, so A, I have 8. B, I have 8. And c, I don't know, so it's x to the second. So again, I get rid of as many of these second powers as I can. 8 to the second, 64. And that's going to be 64 too, because it's the same thing. And that stays x to the second. Now again, we got two answers, but I don't have any other x's other than the x to the second. So it's x squared equals x equals. So I put a 1 in front, dot, and circle. Now, there are no plus and minuses outside the circle because here's my equal sign, and there are no pluses and minuses there. So what I do is I add those together, okay? That's what that little triangle means, add them. 64 plus 64 is 128. So I have 128 equals 1 times x to the second. Then after I divide, I can fill out my x to the second. 128 divided by 1 is 128. Now, what number times itself is 128? I don't know because it's not in the bubble. So I do my calculator, square root. So second, fourth key up, 128. 11.31, negative 11.31. Again, we want to put the positive up there. Okay, so A, B, C. So A to the second plus B to the second equals C to the second, okay? So A is 8, B is 12, and C, I don't know, okay? So A, 8 to the second, B, I have 12 to take that place. Then C, I don't know, so x to the second. So again, I get rid of as many of these second powers as I can. 8 to the second, 64, plus 12 to the second is 144, so x second. So x is going to, the equation, there are two possible answers because of the second power. But I don't have any other x's that aren't to the second power, so I dot and circle, and it's x squared equals x equals. Okay, now again, here's my x squared with the circle. It does not have any plus this side or this side, okay? So I'm just gonna add these, so I just have one number over there so I can divide by 1. Because usually I go straight to division, but there's two numbers over here. We got to add them together. That's the logic you should be following. That's 208. Then divide by your 1. After you've divided, you know what your x to the second equals. It's 208. Okay. Now what number times itself is 208? I don't know. So I need to use the square root function. So second, because that tells me the number times itself. 14.42. So you could be at positive or negative. So for the positive one's what I want to go at because I'm measuring a side. When I take a tape measure, it doesn't go into negatives. Okay, and then my last one. A, B, C. So A is 9, C is 41, I don't know B. So A to the second plus B to the second equals C to the second. Okay, so A I've got 9, B I don't know, and C we have 41. So I get rid of as many second powers as I can. 9 to the second, that would be 81. Plus my x to the second, then equals 41 to the second is 1,681. Okay, so again, there are two answers for my x. And I don't have any other x's except the x to the second, so I'd put a 1 dot and circle. Now this time you do have a plus 81 out there. Now 81's positive, so I would put a plus and then minus 81. So 1,681 minus 81 is 1,600. And then we divide both sides by the 1. That's 1,600. So x to the second equals x equals 1,600. Then I find the square root of 1,600. 40. Okay, so we get 40 or negative 40. Okay, 40 is my answer. Okay, and that's pretty much how you do the Pythagorean theorem of a right triangle.